Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. It is Free Energy Friday. It is March 27th, 2026. Welcome to our Friday night show. We have Lulu on tonight. We have Nathan. And we also have Mr. Phillip, which is in the bottom right corner. He's in a pub right now, enjoying living the life in California. And
In Santa Monica, next to the beach.
Santa Monica. Oh yeah, nice. That's a nice area. I've been there. It's been a really busy week. Wednesday was my birthday, so I've been super busy. I've been working on my battery cells. Now I've actually sealed them into these packages, and I've got the iron sealer, so I can actually make an airtight seal. So they're really thin. This cell here is putting out 2.25 volts, and so I've got 6 of them made. So I've been playing around with that. Still have a couple little design issues that I'm kind of trying to work around and perfect, but that's all part of the process. But as far as the electrolyte and all the stuff that's inside, I'm right on the money. So getting some really good results. It's putting out quite a bit of current. It's charging 100 farad capacitor bank up to about 6 volts in like less than a minute. So it's putting out some current. These seem to like a load. When you put a load on these, it seems to like cause the reaction and actually try to pull. It's like it's pulling the second you put the load on it. So it seems to like it. And the other thing too is if I leave it overnight with no load on it at all, it like goes to sleep. It's the second I start trying to pull a load off it, it like wakes up. Any other way to describe it. And so that's what I've been working on all week. Almost every night this week, I've been working on this stuff.
So how do you have them connected, Mike? Are you running the battery back to them? What are you doing when you connect them?
Usually when I connect two of these cells make one. So they hook up I hook them up in series. So I'm getting about anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 volts with the two of them put together. So I got some pretty decent current. So I would make several packs of two of these guys together in series like this. But when you hook them up in a bank, you would hook them up in parallel. So you would multiply your current. So it's a series and parallel configuration. So I think I'm going to enclose these in like a plastic case. I have all the plastic actually already cut. It's just a matter of hooking them up, putting them in between the two plastic plates, screwing them down with nylon screws, and make the terminals on the end, kind of the way Michael Kantz was making his power cells, but he had the 12-inch plates, but they were only putting out anywhere from 1.4 to 1.7 volts. Now, if I put two of them together, and I'm getting almost 4 volts of power in the same footprint.
So, real quick, you're putting a load on it. So your DC, you're putting a load, so it exchanges back to the cell. So you're it's almost like pulling cold electricity. When you pull it and put it to a source that produces heat, it then puts the heat back into the cell. So it's like an active ingredient to it. So it makes the cold react to the heat and then starts the cell in a cycle.
Yeah. Now, the really crazy part about this is I was getting some radiation type emissions coming from these. I did quite a few tests and I talked with Elijah for I don't know how many hours on this. So it seems to have some kind of nuclear reaction happening.
Should have cold radiation coming off it.
Yeah, we don't know if it's beta or alpha or what's coming off it. but it actually triggered off my Geiger counter,
Hmm.
like a couple of seconds. It would come in like a transient type of things, but I was able to replicate it several times, so it wasn't like a fluke or uh, something wrong with the Geiger counter. I don't think it was anything wrong with the Geiger counter. I think it was working just fine. It's just something transient coming off this,
Right, it
which
should be happening with the pulse. Anytime you pulse that, it should happen.
yeah,
It's a normal reaction. It's a cold side reaction.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it's dangerous. Um, I don't think there's enough rad there to happen. I think it's too transient for anything, damaging. I'll probably get more radiation from the sun. You know
Well,
what I mean?
okay. So when you get heat works with the radiation to dissipate the radiation so the level's less than the amount. That's a hot radiation. The cold doesn't work that way. The heat's
Yeah,
no longer there, so it's in cold, so it bypasses that step and pulls straight to the radiation. You
yeah,
you you see it when you work with Tesla coils all the time. I pull cold radiation just to put it in water because it works better.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. So yeah, Elijah, we were talking about it for quite a few hours, trying to figure out what's going on. He has more insight on this nuclear stuff than I do. I just make the stuff, and then I try to figure out what the hell I've done. You know what I mean? That
I
no,
love it.
I do.
I
You know
absolutely
what?
love it.
You know what? I do exactly the opposite of what everybody would do. Most people say, "Okay, let's figure out the science. Let's figure out the math." Me, I build the damn thing first and then try to figure out what the hell I did. I go completely the opposite direction. So, yeah, kind of interesting what got going
Yeah,
on.
it matches what we were talking about today on the Walter Russell thing, man, and how you have an energy exchange that goes on between hot and cold, and the reactions are different because in every single part of energy that you have radiation. It's just not apparent in most things, but when you get to the cold side, since you don't have a heat part of the reaction, you get the radiation higher. It, I tell you, I do it center of my Tesla coil, cold.
Yeah,
Outside, and it's hot. And you could tell in the plasma on an insulated wire on the number two coil coming off it. You put your finger on it, it'll be purple. You go in the cold or something like that in the environment, and you use the center of the coil, it's blue. And that's a different that you could tell right away which radiation you're working
yeah,
in whether the energy is hot or cold.
yeah. Just like it would, now you can see what I'm talking about with the Renegade device. You're getting that blue green spark.
There you go. Right now we're there.
Yeah. So yeah, let's touch base on what we were talking about just before we went on. I think that's kind of interesting. I'm going to try that out. Hooking up the battery in line with the light, or just disconnect the light and put the battery in series with it.
So basically, in what goes on that I've ever found with a battery, if you put it in line, say you take the positive and you break the positive in the battery, or you break the negative in the battery, you're using it different in a system than you would a traditional battery. You're not putting positive and negative on there, so it's not a loop in the circuit. It's a like a diode in your circuit is the way it basically is pulling out, or a not so much a diode, well, probably a diode, but also a resistor in the circuit. It's building a dielectric field in order to build a magnetic field, which gives you the heat. So when you go to the side of the battery, you can basically put a wire on it and use it as your other terminal if that's what you wanted to do. It also changes the energy. You're trying to reduce the amount of high frequency, high voltage in it and try to pull an amperage out of it. And what's going on is you're getting a heavy dielectric between every plate, which is normal for a battery, right? And then you have the solution that's inside the acid that's swirling. So you got two things going on there. In the acid itself, you're pulling the magnetic field out into the acid, and it's continuously rotating. So you're getting it on the outside of it because of the reaction. You're creating a spin based on the fields going on. So now you put it in line, it changes how the reaction works because you're no longer putting it on both sides. You're only putting it through straight through. It's flux shifting. It's basically, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So my question is, with my solid state, because these are completely alkaline, there's no acid at all in this. How would it work? What would happen?
Oh, you don't need an acid. You just need it to pull the same. How do I say it? The same field.
Right.
So if you want to pull the same field, then basically you have to have either the chemical, or you can use a cloth if it has a chemical in it, or you can solid state that cloth inside there with that reaction in there, because what you're doing is you're aligning the vector direction inside of it between the plates, and you're creating a high capacitance in doing that vector directioning, because the field builds out like a magnetic field in the inside, right? A loop inside the center, a loop. So you're creating a directional flow. That's all you have to do in every one of these in order to do it, in order to make the outcome come out to what you want. So whether it's solid state or it's not, it all depends on how that vector direction. It's like an electric, okay? An electric versus a magnetic field. An electric takes it in, pushes it out. You get one flow. You take off the sides of that electric where it's connected to. The flow no longer happens. The energy dissipates. You put the thing back in there, it creates a vector direction, allows it to do it. You see it heavier in magnetics when you get to magnetizing iron, and then you put it in there, it creates a vector direction in the iron, gives you a magnetic field that builds out, right? So batteries teach you more about what's going on in every single metal that you put in there than what you think. It's telling you, hey, every metal has a different signature that goes with it, and you should watch the magnetic value in every one of them. That's how I came up with changing cores inside of the Renegade device. When we look at it, we change the core, say we go to cobalt instead of iron. Well, it changes the energy signature. We're looking at the capacitor to find out how fast it fills it, to see how much energy is there, not the oscilloscope, because the oscilloscope's set up to see a base reaction of magnetic fields based on iron, not on cobalt. So you have to judge the capacitor reaction from it. But the battery's doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you put each part of it in there, what part of the field are you building in the battery? That's why your cells work completely different than everyone else's.
Yeah. It'd be very interesting to see how these solid states work in that scenario. If the charge is going to build, or like you're saying, the magnetic field's going to build. Now, my base material is magnesium. That's all my technology is based around, making a magnesium power cell. So, how is the magnesium going to be able to create a magnetic field, or can it? Because magnesium is a interesting metal.
It's all about the alignment of the field. How fast can you align it, and how much value comes out of it?
Right.
So you got to think of them as little arrows sitting in there. And if the arrows all align properly quickly, you get a heavy magnetic field. If it takes so much time to get them to turn forever, the magnetic field's garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there's not a high dielectric or a high voltage in there still. It just means that it can't get into the magnetic form where it needs to turn.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna have to try that tomorrow.
So sorry guys, can I interrupt, because my
Sure.
Oh, go for it, Phil.
battery is draining very fast.
Yeah, man. I know you're gonna get back to the women. You're at the park.
No, but it's really cool. This week I submitted my 2 projects to DARPA. The stealth propulsion, and it's a lot easier than I thought. I simplified it, and for 80 watts, I can generate 43 pounds of force, which is 190 Newton. So a few of them can lift a human, like the hoverboard. So it's classic physics. I'm not inventing anything. It's a lot more powerful than the MHD vortex of gallium that I did before.
Right.
So that's the first project. The second project is the the electric field shockwaves or the force field or the tractor beam, the opposite. So in one way you have a force field, the opposite of it is a tractor beam. So I submitted these two projects and they passed the pre-screening, and now I have to wait 30 days to get an answer. So it's pretty fast. The industry, the academia, the government employees, they're all gonna review it and come back to me. And if it works, then they're gonna fund my project. That's pretty cool. And you give me a couple of millions in 30 days. So I'm
So
really
it's
happy,
gonna
man. It's
work.
like
It's gonna
a
work.
hell
You're
of a
smarter
week.
than them. So definitely it's gonna work. Like they're just reviewing paperwork. You understand? You're always gonna be smarter than them. You're always gonna give them the ideas and they're gonna approve it. It's.
Yeah, well, I
Congratulations,
didn't
Phil.
submit all the details, just the high level idea. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. They can't plagiarize me. I don't think so.
Well, if it's you're using the standard, physics, it's nothing like, you've made a huge discovery. You just worked out a way to make it work. You were able
Exactly.
to
I don't
engineer.
invent anything. I'm using classic physics. Just nobody figured it out in 150 years.
Yeah. Just
So
going
again,
to.
I'll need 80 watts for 43 pounds of force or 190 Newton. So can you generate that, Mike?
Well, I'm still in the early stage. I need funding too, man. My pockets are getting a little empty here.
So yeah, I'll need an energy source, so one way or the other. So I still need to figure that out.
Yeah, well, at least if you can get at least in the front door, at least get their attention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got their attention already. I passed the phase one already, and phase two is they're gonna give it academia, PhDs, and the industry and government employees. They're all gonna review it, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yep, cool. Right on. Good development. So, when are you coming back to Canada, or are you like jumped the ship? You've defected.
I'm a
You've
trader, man. I'm moving to United States.
yeah, you defected from Canada. We have a defector here.
Yeah, I'm applying. I got a job interview for Google next week, so I need to hurry up on that.
Yeah, you'll be working on AI and all that stuff, and they're gonna,
How to
Wow.
control
steal
Mark
your
Carney and all
soul.
that stuff.
They're gonna steal your soul.
Yeah, I'm a Canadian trader.
Canadian trader.
Hey, I think Bernie's going to join you, man. He's been down here in California for a while.
Yeah, what the heck? You guys are
Yeah, it's
lucky
been
to be
almost
staying
2 months
dry
now.
here.
I've been here, and I'm gonna stay here another month at least.
And me and Gerald are going to be the only ones that are Canadians.
Did you know? I'm not gonna talk about politics, but it's pretty bad right now with the. Anyway, I'll send you a private message.
Yeah. Oh, there's always something going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But on the good note, man, we're gonna see the hoverboards this year or next year at worst, but it's gonna happen. It's not science fiction anymore, and it's really cool, man. It's simple. There's nothing complicated. Just nobody figured it out in 100 years.
hey, man, they did it in Back to the Future. That
Yeah,
was
no kidding.
And the hoverboards works on water, so don't worry about that.
That's totally true. U.S. gets all the Canadian talent. Yeah, actually,
It's
no,
a brain
that's so
drain.
true. That's so true because after they canceled the Avro Arrow project, who do you think engineered the Gemini space capsule? Four Canadian engineers.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Carney, all he wants is maximize his votes. That's all politicians want. They want to maximize their votes one way or the other. If you're not likely to vote for him, then he's not. He's gonna make your life miserable. That's the way it works. So, in Europe too, it's very simple. It's it's all about maximizing their votes.
Yeah. Well, that's any politician, though. All these politicians, they're already predetermined years before they get into power. All you have to do is watch The Simpsons, and it'll tell you the future. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Any
But
government that doesn't invest in its talent core is a doomed government. And that's the truth. You know, if it doesn't invest in science and research and it just wants missiles and wars and that's it, it won't last. You know?
politicians, all they care about is for you to vote for them, maximize their votes, and be in debt. So
So
they
you're
make money,
discussing how
free
there's
money off
new
your
laws
interest.
on speech, yet
It's
you're
very
still
simple.
talking about the government and insulting it. So potentially getting Mike and then me arrested when I go back to Canada. So let's move on from politics and not discuss
yeah,
politics because
We're not
yeah,
talking, but we're talking
smaller.
philosophy of politics. There's a
yeah,
difference between
We're,
politics
hey,
and the
hey, not according to the
philosophy of
Canadian
politics.
government. So we will just go with science, please.
Bernie gets back to Calgary and gets seized at the border.
Yeah.
It's in the, then he's in the
I am
Canadian
kind of
box,
concerned about that.
and what do you got going, Bernie?
So we have a little reactor, but it's that both the anodes, along with the cathode, despite being copper, they're fully black. What does that mean? That means I've created a two-dimensional lattice structure, which essentially is copperine or the graphene state of copper on the outside. And that now all three of the electrodes, the cathode in the middle bubbling, but then also both anodes, they're no longer sacrificial anodes. They're no longer having the galvanic decay or reaction, and they are also bubbling and producing hydrogen just like the cathode is, and thus a sustained, exponentially longer reactor and system.
So,
Cool.
sorry. Anyway, I gotta go because I got 5% left. But yeah, you guys take it easy and talk to you next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Congratulations,
Much
Phil.
love.
Congratulations, Phil.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Phil. Yeah, it's cool. Did you see the battery? Is Bernie there, or he dropped off too?
Hey, Bernie dropped off. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Phil had another drink. I see that smile.
You were with me. I was here the
Yeah,
whole
it's
time.
the
Thank
false-
you very much. And
You
yes,
seen
I
the
did
false
see your
Bernie
battery.
type? Yeah.
Well
Yeah,
done, my friend.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, yeah. Nathan was talking about the Renegade, about hooking up a battery in series with it. I think that's really cool. I might actually try to do that tomorrow.
Yes, and it will increase radiation coming out, Mike. So you have to make a radiation shield. You can do it with a few layers of aluminum foil with insulator between, whether it's wax paper or cellophane between them. And I'd recommend going probably 5 layers. And then at the base, you connect the aluminum and then you ground it. So it's a grounding mat, and that will absorb the radiation in case you get a larger magnitude, more larger amount when starting to pulse.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the Geiger counter beside it, and if it starts triggering it really big time, then I'll shut it off right away, and I'll build a shield.
9:27 p.m.
Yeah, so I'll do that.
Hey, Bernie, I got to run our orange battery.
Say again. Oh,
I have it all set up. I just, I didn't know if you're coming back or not, so I've been waiting.
I am. So I'll probably. I was debating whether to get a ride out with. Well, I guess she just left, so I guess it's too late tonight. But probably maybe Monday or Tuesday when she's back in Santa Ana, I'll hitch a ride for a few
Okay.
days. Be out there next week for sure.
Nice. We get that thing done, man. I got it ready to put the orange slices in there and then fill it up with the orange juice, and the trees got full of oranges, man. Last time we did potato power. It's like part 2.
All right, part 2, orange power, the citrus power. Yeah, so we'll be doing that by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest.
Nice. Very cool.
Where are you now, Bernie?
I am in the heart of LA, and it's a great time.
Of LA.
Oop. There we go.
Yeah, it's nice.
So apparently it snowed a foot in Calgary 2 days ago. So this is heaven despite being LA.
The seaway's not leaving.
I could say on my birthday on Wednesday, it hit 9 degrees Celsius.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's warming up in the Toronto area. Tonight's the Blue Jays home opener, so I know the summer is coming.
Spring, Mike. Let's not get us ahead of ourselves, Mr. Canadian.
Hey, come on. I went through a brutal winter this year.
Yeah, it is pretty much. It's above
It
zero.
was
It's
a bad winter.
Bernie, all your things look like creatures.
right. Doesn't
Like,
that
look at this one. Look at this. It looks like some kind of crab. Really, look
Straight
at
up.
it. They all look like creatures. The other one, the thing in the jar, looked like bats. That's how I like 3 bats. Like all of his things. I
True.
always see creatures in them.
See, well, it's because it's alive. It grows, so it takes the form of the structure of what naturally exists in nature.
I'm just going to scoot out real quick. I'll be right back. Go for my smoky break.
Smoke break time. So these nanotube structures grew overnight in a period of just 12 hours. And now I'm drying them out, and I suspect they are what's called the carbon nanotubes, but it's copperine and ironine instead of carbon graphene. It's copper, graphene, and iron. And yeah, straight up looks like a crab or a beetle or some alien. I know, isn't it wild, Lulu? It's just, or
That's
it's
cool.
Groot. What is the name of the character? Groot. Looks
Groot?
like, yeah, it's Groot from Avengers, right? Or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's cool. I see the crab though.
Yeah. So this one doesn't look as much like Groot. There's one of I got one in a jar at home that looks like Groot.
Nice. Yeah, somebody said coral. Yeah.
Yeah, coral too for sure. And like how fast it grew is what's really shocking, right? It's like if these turn out to be structured like the graphene carbon nanotubes, and how they require intense energy and vacuum space and whatnot, and their current procedures of forming them that this is exponential magnitudes less time and energy required to do the same nanomaterials.
How
Well,
brittle is it? How is it strong, or is it like, can it
Well,
like,
it's brittle when it's drying, so then you have to add another coating to it, or uh, put it into the layers that you're using it on like a chip right away, and then it's strong.
I mean, this rate of growth, if you can somehow control how it grows, you could like build things with this and out of
Exactly. Well, and then you
space.
can
I mean,
also
if it
break it
has,
down and
you know,
3D
a
print
fast rate
it.
of its own growth, then, you know, it could
Yeah,
be
so it
something.
can be used for 3D printing layers, and that's how you can control essentially how it grows, or just the structure of it and how you build it out after.
Mm.
One application. I do know how to engineer it within the actual manufacturing process, but that is what do you call it? Proprietary information that I can't yet share or discuss.
I don't know why it's growing fast. You see the shape of it, not the shape of it. You're looking at the growth. Look at the other side of it. How he wound it together.
Oh
It's
yes,
field inside field inside field inside field. Multiple fields working together to combine to make a bigger field. Rapidly increases the growth.
you're
I, I,
giving
I,
away some of my secrets, Nathan, but that's okay. It needs to be given away. Apparently,
it,
I can't actually patent any of it, or I will be disappeared or unalived. Because, well,
Bertie did this at my house, by the way. He wrapped one, and then he wrapped another one inside of it. So when he did that, it went like what, 2 or 3 times faster, Bernie?
exactly, absolutely. With each layer, it's like a magnitude of 3 that it increases the rate.
Yeah. But mine, the ones here are gone. They went down
Dissolve.
to nothing. Yeah, fast. Not they didn't grow the black stuff.
Yes, this was a slightly different process. Same voltage, same materials, but just a slightly different setup in the charge differential and the structure, and that's why it continued to be sacrificial anodes and fully dissolved and, and corroded compared to these that will last indefinitely because of reaching, well, the nano layers of the copperine on the outside, which gives your prevents the galvanic decay and galvanic reaction.
So it yeah, basically puts a protective layer over it. So it won't let
Exactly.
the yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So then you have that energy, full energy transfer in the reaction with zero parasitic decay or um, leach or loss, right? It's like the electron goes fully through from water to circuits and metal, and doesn't get spread or diffracted as a wave.
I like graphene. It'll hold capacitance, energy, and memory, and it's
Do you have
fast.
do you have a ultrasonic cleaner, Nathan?
I have ultrasonic stuff. I don't have a like a bin with water.
Okay, so what you do is get a flask, put in about half the flask of isopropyl alcohol, okay, and then about a quarter of water,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then put about 2 tablespoons of pure graphite. You can get the 600 mesh or even the 400 works good. Dump that in, stir it up, and then you ultrasonic blast it and heat it at the same time to 80 degrees C and zap it with the ultrasound for about 30 minutes. After that, you got pure graphene. All you do is refine it out, put it through a filter, and then you can buy this stuff. It's called India ink. I don't know if you've ever heard of India ink
Mm-hmm.
for calligraphy. So you take a small amount and put a couple of drops of India ink into it, and that creates like a binder for it. And then you can paste it on anything, and you got graphene.
Really?
Yep,
Hmm.
very easy to do. So
Well, and then we could just take it to a 3D printer and use a 3D printer as just an XYZ access, and then be able to put it on a nano coating or whatever the hell we want.
yeah,
9:37
yeah,
p.m.
exactly. Just make any surface you want, and then you just paint it on it, and there you go. It's completely conductive. Very little resistance. I've got my graphene down to about less than about 10 ohms resistance, which is not bad. Um, because you're using such a thin layer, you'll have a very good response. Very good response. And you could go a step further. If you have an airbrush, you could put the graphene in the airbrush and spray it on. So you have like a nano coat. Get it down to like 4 or 5
Yeah.
nanometer thickness.
Mike is describing processes of application of all my nanomaterials that can be used, whether it's the oxide, the monoatomic, the Ean state, the sulfur, or the hydrides. Mike just described the processes of using and layering.
Yeah, airbrush works great. I have a really nice one in my lab. I'm going to be firing that up this year for sure.
Mm.
Because you can do very, very thin layers. That's the key. That even in this battery tech stuff, they've got their layers down because they use like a foil for each layer, and they have these machines. They're very, very expensive. They're like, some of them go over $100,000. And basically, you put your slurry into this little container, and it has almost like a squeegee. Best way I can describe it. And it feeds your material through that squeegee and goes at a very controlled speed and makes a nice swipe of material onto the surface within about 3 to 5 nanometer thick. And that's how they're making these batteries in big institutions like CTAL. Their machines are probably millions of dollars. But
You can make, how do I say this? The way BurnEye does it, sometimes you can be the outside coating of a ship and make a nano coating out there that's alive and that repairs itself based on memory of the nano coating itself.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
I like that idea. That's like along the lines out what I'm thinking, like something that self-replicates. You don't need
And
And also, not just that, but also a coating that can absorb and transfer heat and prevent the breakdown of metal solid into, surviving extreme friction and atmospheric, preventing the, what's it called? You rub against something, friction, so that you can have the plasma sheath form and actually get hypersonics within your structure there. And
I found out too what they use in the stealth fighters. Stealth fighter planes. They're radar
that's also self-coating too, correct?
Yeah. So the magic material. The magic material in that paint that absorbs radar is charcoal.
Yeah, it's a graphene layer. And that one other crucial part when you're applying it is that you have to have a directional charge on the surface that you're putting it onto, just the smallest directional charge, and then that structures the layer in alignment into the lattice when you're doing it. And what I just the information we just gave there is the difference between why the Russians, the Iranians, and the Chinese have achieved hypersonic weapons at a very cheap and high production rate, where the West still can't get past supersonic, and their tests with hypersonics cost $1 billion per missile because they believe they have to have the ceramic metamaterial of the shell to be able to absorb the heat instead of a simple coating that absorbs, deflects, and gives the flow of ionic pulse wind from the.
Hold on, it's working like Mike's cell. It's pulling in the heat, and that's what's strengthening it. It's a cold energy cell on the outside. It's pulling it in the same way from the environment. It's a high amount of voltage. It goes over and through it and splits the air, so it goes faster. You're going to get what 10 to 15% more speed when you do that in a plane like that.
But well, not just that though, Nathan. It's that it creates the cold plasma on the outside, and deflects the heat. But it creates an actual plasma field boundary from the front of the tip of whatever is moving, and then that it creates the flow field so that it maintains its charge and structure until it hits the back, which is your flame, the rocket, which is the heat, that thrust, and that's the hot plasma. So then you have the hot plasma outer shell from the tip where it's initiating the reaction to the end, which is the thrust with the heat, and that's your hot outer shell of plasma. And that right there is a $1 billion secret between Russia, China, and Iran, and what the West is missing. So there you go, America. Don't kidnap me, but maybe give me some money for that.
It's dual terminated, is what it is.
There's a new rocket engine. I think I sent the link to a couple of you this last week. Basically, this rocket engine, you would figure, okay, when you see a standard rocket engine work, the nozzle or the cone on the outside heats up red hot, like you've seen on SpaceX, right? You see the pictures of them showing the nozzle of the flame coming out. That whole area goes red hot. Well, this engine they made is based on a 4,000-year-old design of a structure that they found in India. And they call it, it's basically what they call the aerospike engine. So
interesting.
Right. So the flame coming out is hot, but the cone or the shielding on the outside, it freezes.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect.
The opposite.
Yep.
It goes exactly the opposite.
It's the endothermic reaction, and that's making it more efficient as well. Yeah. So,
here's the interesting part.
I've seen them when they launch. They have there's water that's cooling them before they even launch.
This doesn't need it. This doesn't need it.
So when they detach, a lot of these things are something that tries to keep it cool.
Right. So that's part of the liquid fuel that they add to it. Liquid oxygen, hydrogen, and I believe peroxide. They use a lot of peroxide. Now, but with this engine, it's really cool. They don't make it with steel. Guess what they use? Take a wild guess. Copper. The whole engine is made of copper. And it's also 3D printed, I might add.
I was going to say that, but I was muted.
Yeah.
You wait until they mount a different tip on these things and they finally figure out how to transition through energy with light. And as soon as they find that out, then they'll be way ahead of everyone else. It's like putting a laser beam on something with the missile itself, and the head of it drives through.
We want parallelity, so they're equal, but we do not want to leapfrog anything because that's just going to lead to more war and destruction. So no giving away damn secrets quite yet, because I do have all of that too. That's what I've been working on this week before we figure it out. But we can't go down that rabbit hole quite yet. One step at a time.
This world never seems to learn the lessons of what war does. And you know what? We're a failed species. We're destined for doom. The way we're going.
Maybe with with that attitude and the direction we're doing, right?
Well,
But it's
well, I don't even
we're
have to do
progressively
anything. Everybody
change
else.
that. So we're going to give away to leap. Well, I'm willing to give away technology to leapfrog commercial industry and for humanity, but I will also give plurality equal for hypersonic and plasma. But so that we don't want any more. Humans have to stop killing humans. And
How
we have
about
to put it
technology that we don't have to use our natural resources anymore? Like,
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like
That already
invent
exists.
things. Yeah, how
that's
about
what
something
this
like
all
that?
is here, and what I will be releasing shortly. As the petrodollar continues to crash and the yuan takes on strength, it's the perfect time for this disruptive technology to come out because the market and economy and world is already in a disruptive state. So it'll actually be beneficial to equaling things out and not have me killed or disappeared for releasing this hydrogen and water fuel.
I love that comment. Mike is a ray of sunshine. More like Doctor Doom.
Yeah. Well, once you realize what telluric current is in the Earth, and you understand that the pyramids are basically giant capacitors to it, it becomes very simple. The anode and cathode, so the ground and the heavens meet, and in that is where the energy's at. What is it? 100 volts per meter. But when you're dealing with such a large capacitor, it doesn't really matter how much is up there. It matters what you're filling with it. And then even if the rate's filled slow, if the thing is gigantor like the Pyramid of Egypt, then guess what? You got all the energy in the world. You just have to realize where it is and pull it out there. You can't pull it out at the surface of the earth. It's retarded. You have to do it in the sky where the energy's at. So, but Mike's seen it in his experiment. I was showing it today. When he built this pyramid and put his Renegade in there and he was doing that and he says he got UFOs, he's focusing light. When you focus light, it focuses energy. He got a sphere up there in the air because he focused light. And it was just simple. It'll show up every time he does it. And as soon as you bring that pyramid up higher, that focus is much easier, and then it can transfer into energy real quick because Tesla told you exactly how to do it. You just need a capacitor in order to fill up. But then anytime you put water in a granite, it becomes a capacitor. When you put it into the limestone, it becomes a capacitor. Now you're just dealing with fields inside of water and what's going on there. That's why the Tesla coil with the rod down the center works in water so well. It's the opposite side of the energy reaction. It's all the same thing.
And it makes total sense why, Tesla apparently been to the pyramid 4 times. So where do you think the Tesla coil got its inspiration from? The pyramids. He knew that there was a giant
Oh, yeah.
network. He knew it.
Well, that's what his big tower was. You
Yeah.
could strip away everything everybody's ever said about that thing and just use it as an antenna, and you can pull energy in. If you went over to any one of these skyscrapers and took the grounding from it and put a capacitor in between, you could fill it up all day long.
Yeah.
Hey, they have stuff in society where they used to do this stuff and then they removed it from all the buildings. You'll see the remnants of it everywhere.
Tartarian
Tartaria.
technology and
Tartaria.
right?
They made these spires. They made these spires and they would have balls. Well, guess what's inside the ball? Mercury.
Mercury.
So that's going to tell you something right there. And they put them on these big giant cathedrals and everything, and they were
With
geometric.
copper domes and silver domes and iron rods between them, and we know what that's for.
So
Have you guys heard of something called the Baghdad battery?
yeah,
Yes, and
like
that's the
the ones in
basis
the
of all of
jars, and
this.
yeah, I mean they
What,
had.
what do you think I'm doing? It's more than a battery.
but these churches, these old Gothic churches, I think the only ones left on the planet right now are in the Czech Republic. All right,
And
these things
Spain,
were
there's a couple
designed.
in France, Germany, Austria.
There, Is there? I thought a lot of them were destroyed from the war, but I know.
There are lots that are destroyed, but there's a couple left in each European nation.
Yeah, I know. Like the Czech Republic has the most out of all the European nations. They got something like several hundred of them. Now
Hmm.
they were engineered in a way not only to attract the static electricity from the top of those spires, but they were also assisting in the harmonics of the organs that were played during the services. And if you were sitting in the sweet spot inside the cathedral while these organs were playing and the static electricity electrifying basically the entire structure, you had some pretty incredible.
Harmonic healing, right? And that's why it's called an
Yeah.
organ. It was
Right,
like
It's harmonic.
your organs.
right, right. And also, Eric Dollar talked about this in one of his lectures.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
And
In California, might I add.
right, it was in
I'll
California.
never forget the first time I heard that lecture and discussion. It was like, oh my, it all makes sense.
And you should be close to that place, Bernie, if it still exists.
I am.
Energy,
You're right. I
energy,
gotta go there.
frequency, vibration.
Got the Googling.
That's what's going on in those churches.
Hey, Mike, I sent you a picture. Check this out. You know how I do that rattle on my channel? Joe did it with light and a pyramid of quartz.
Oh, such a good episode.
Wow.
That's amazing. Look,
Right? Not this week's. It was last week's that you did that one, or was it earlier this week? One or the other. No, yeah, it was
I
last
think it was last week.
week.
Yeah. That's crazy how that builds, isn't it, Mike? Remember what I told you about what you're doing with your pyramid? You see the little bubble up there with the little center dot?
Yep.
It's focusing light.
And the thing is, you can only see that effect using a cell phone camera because the visual spectrum of our eyes cannot pick that up, but our cameras can.
No, he was able to see it in person, right?
You able to see it because I know with these orbs, you can't see them with the naked eye. You have to use a cell phone camera that can go either above 650 nanometer and below 450 nanometer.
It's in ultraviolet.
Yeah. For your reaction, Mike, absolutely. This one, I believe, because it was just refracting visible light waves. That is why
You can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff, if you put things in UV, you could find it. So tonic water reveals ultraviolet. So
Tonic water?
Interesting.
I could send you guys the video on it. You can watch it. The VE channel, that guy, he had an episode on it, and it basically showed you how it does it and how it's basically luminescent when you go inside with it. It's charging it with UV, and then you bring it inside and it starts to glow.
Interesting.
Epic. Yes, please do send that. Love you guys. Sorry I gotta take off here for dinner right now, but I'll try to make it back before it's end, and if not, have a wonderful weekend and see y'all next week.
Right on. We'll see
Yeah,
you
let me
soon.
find that. Let me go to the history. I'll give you the link, Mike, right now.
Yeah.
Love the episode, man. It's totally cool. It also has what's that girl? Physics girl. What do they call her?
I think I know who you're talking about.
She's in that one too. And they go on to a bunch of stuff about your skin and other stuff and stuff I don't really care about. But the first part of the episode's where I care because it had to do with the stuff. They're going to put it in the chat.
Private chat?
It's in the regular chat.
Oh, in the regular chat. Oh, okay.
I'll put it in the private for you real quick.
Yeah, that's probably a better place to put it.
But it's telling you there's different spectrums of light.
Yeah, there's another lady out there that I've been following for a little while now. I don't usually like plug other people's channels other than our group, but Sabrina Wallace. Um, she worked for one of the big tech companies and realized how they were using electronics to interface her body with the electromagnetic hubs of, say, like our Wi-Fi and our cell phones and all this, and how they
Hmm.
you know, basically intervene with your body chemistry. So
Oh, that's
she,
fun.
yeah, so I've been following this lady for quite a while, and she knows her stuff, like all the biofield and how all our electronics today were designed years ago to interface with our body, and it's kind of scary when she gets into it because it's like they have full access to our body chemistry. Because our cell phones and all our electronics, they've all been designed to interface with our body chemistry.
You're making us all fat, Mike. That's what it is.
Yeah, and lazy,
Yeah,
fat,
there you go.
lazy. Yeah.
I
Well, I
blame it
just
on
blame
atmospheric fluctuations.
I
In
blame
the
it on my
magnetic
age.
field, I blame it on that.
I blame it on my age. I just got a year older. I'm older than the old man. That's old.
Oh, I bet you feel younger than I do, though. That's for sure. Oh,
But
I've
yeah,
been dealing with.
I believe it that devices do have all our like biometrics, telemetry, like every little thing that I 100% believe that. Because it's like it's too much. you know, we have a lot of smart people, a lot of smart coders. So you think they're gonna miss anything? Like they're gonna want to maximize every possible piece of science as information about you know humans. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys, man. They got something going on. They
You
took
know,
over somebody's mind in the chat right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
Huh.
3 homosexual.
I swear, man, people are the dumbest people in the world because everybody scrolls in on their screen now. They think they can just get on and put stupid stuff.
Uh, it just makes them look like jackasses. Like, give me a break.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah, it is what it is. There's a no lacking in stupid in this planet, and we have an example of it in our chat board tonight.
Huh.
So the people that are good followers that actually have a sane
10
brain,
p.m.
just like totally humiliate the guy and just irritate him to the point where he's gonna want to leave. So
I like how Mike thinks about it. Well.
it's like sick him.
Oh, it's so great.
Oh, we got Mike Does in there. We'll just get Mike Does to go after him with the holes.
Oh, I said Mike. Mike was completely serious. It wasn't his fault. We just found humor in it. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
Oh, dude.
Programming.
I still watch that every once in a while, man, and chuckle. Him and Ben, man, like comedic duo, I swear.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that'll probably go down in history of one of the best episodes you ever put out. For sure. A classic. Old Man Builds classic.
Oh, yeah. God, that was so great.
My God. We've had some funny shows.
Oh, yeah. My favorite was 7-Eleven in space.
Oh yeah. All the space station with Gerald in the rubber room and
Oh, man. That's amazing.
plus black holes on the list.
Well, they were on the list, all right. Ben was preparing for him. It was so bad because you watched the video and he absolutely was. Yeah, look at the light socket. He gets down on all fours and looks into the light socket. All you see is his butt coming up on the screen, and Mike's over there talking about holes. And he goes, just plug it in the other hole. And then, oh my God.
That whole conversation was so vulgar. If you had a dirty mind, it was completely vulgar.
Dude, Joe and I were sitting there backstage, couldn't hold it in, man. You know what I mean?
I know.
We're both dying.
Yeah, I know. I could hear you guys go losing your mind.
Oh, it's the greatest ever.
That was epic. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Epic shows. Oh my God. I don't know. I gotta count up how many live shows I've done. Yeah, like my site right now, I've got over 1,000 videos, and not to mention probably tens of thousands of hours of live shows.
Wow.
Same on Nathan's channel too. So if you haven't become a member of Nathan's YouTube channel, you can check out Old Man Builds, and also my channel at Third Day Research. You can become members and get access to all the members section stuff that has hours and hours of information. It would take you months to go through all this stuff. There's so much. Like me and Nathan at it for a while, and our archive of shows and experiments and all that. We've got a pretty large channels between the two of us.
Yeah.
We've done several years of accumulating all these archives of shows and experiments, and yeah, it's just for $3.99 a month, it's like totally worth it because you're getting so much, and you probably never get through all of it. There's just so much there.
Hey, I tried. I was on Mike's members thing, man, going through all of it when I was doing the Renegade. Oh man, I think I watched like 50 videos in a row, and I'm looking for one wire, and his camera was like ever elusive of the wire. You know what I mean? It was like, hey Nathan, here it is, kind of. No, we're going back over here.
And you lose it. Yeah, you're trying to find that one wire. Yeah.
He got me good on that one, but thankfully he told me what it was. But he got me good on that one.
Yeah, I want to see more of. I like seeing other people do what I've done, because it more validates what I've been talking about. Not getting it from me myself, is getting it from a third party that has like a no bias attitude. So you could build it exactly the way I've done it, and my attitude is, if you could get where I got and go further with it, hey, all the power to you. It's the concept of what I have done, and it's such a simple device to make. So yeah, and as soon as you get the wiring down, then you could just go crazy with it. As soon as you understand what it's doing.
Well, I'll tell you what, not knowing how to wire it was almost like a blessing in disguise. And I say that because it taught you what the switch does, what the batteries are there for, where the flow is, and what's going on. Because you had to know every piece of that to get that missing wire right. And until you figured that out, it was like a mystery in itself. You know what I mean? So.
Oh God, I've been working with this Renegade setup since 2016, 2017, and we're at 2026 now. So yeah, it's 10 years, right?
10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
So, and I've tried every method on the planet, and it just went back to that spark gap. It was something about it. Everybody's saying, oh, you're losing energy. It's transient. It's doing this. It's doing that. Dude, you got to make exactly what I've done and watch the effects, because the effects don't coincide with what you think. You think you know what it is, but no, you don't. You don't know what it is. It took me 10 years to figure it out. and I'm still learning stuff off it. So
Yeah, well, I'll be doing some experiments here with it in the future, Mike. And I'm going to put the RAV in the middle of the spark gap, and I'm going to show it then. I think we're going to change a whole thought of what's going on in these things. So
I have a box full of calcite crystal, raw calcite crystal.
ooh.
I was thinking, yeah, and anybody who knows anything about calcite crystal, it takes the average crystal. You know how crystal is used for making, our radios and transmitters and all that kind of stuff. Okay, this is raw calcite crystal, and it has lattice facets on it. It has some geometrical shape to it. But the interesting thing about calcite, whatever frequency a standard crystal, quartz crystal makes, calcite amplifies it by 10 times.
Mm. Well, there's different frequencies on every side of the crystal, right?
Right.
So, but
Facet.
find the one that creates a beat frequency between them.
Yeah.
Okay? One frequency and then the other frequency. It'll work like a Tesla coil. It'll bounce it back and forth. In the center, you get a binaural beat. And it amplifies the energy inside the crystal as you do it. Now, if you hit all the other ones around it, you know what I mean, as it's built out on all the sides, you get all the frequencies to go against each other and create the binaural beats in them, you'll get it to glow.
Yeah, because this goes back to one of the old Energy from the Vacuum series with John Bandini, petrovoltaics. If you watch that episode, how he's making his own semiconductors using rocks.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
All right, guys, I got to get out of here. My daughter's calling me right now.
She's calling you? All right.
Yeah.
No problem. Thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Take care. It's just me and you, Lulu.
Me and you. Pat. Good show. Good show.
That's wasn't that a movie, Me and You, or You and Me? Wasn't that a movie
I don't know.
from the 80s? It was an old movie.
I don't know. I have to sit and think about it.
Swipe left or right to cycle through your tiles.
So, what direction you want to go, Lulu? The floor is yours.
The floor is. What's puzzling me lately, the theory of expansion. It's been bothering me. Every time I sit and, think about the physics of it, like, even if we go at the speed of light of things, the rate of expansion will always beat that. So how do we ever get from, you understand?
Depending on the energy that is being used. Is it light energy? Is it electromagnetic energy? Or is it physical matter?
I think always in a big way. Like I'm thinking if we you send a something, a ship,
Right.
or at the speed of light, but of course
Right.
we have not achieved
So,
that. We only have 10.
Okay, so you're in the vacuum of space, and there's very, very little friction other than the forces that you would be exerted on, whether it's particles in space, electromagnetic fields, or whatever. Those are or light or photon. Those are the only things that really would have create resistance for an object in motion, right?
Okay.
So the theory is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So if you take a rock in outer space and you throw it, in theory, if there's no resistance in outer space, that rock should go on forever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But there's influences in space that would slow it down, whether it's heat, a collision, energy density in the space, plasma. All this stuff would cause eventually to slow it down. So I think eventually everything would stop and come to a rest or go in the opposite direction. unless it is deflected off of something. So, um, I don't know. That's a hard one to prove because you actually have to do it to
Yeah.
find out, right?
Well, just the whole, like trying to reach, let's say, Proxima B. It's 4.2 light years away for, this is one of the examples.
Yeah.
It At the current rate, we would need like something around 81,000 years to get there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is because we have maybe the 10%, the capability 10% of the speed of light. But we're saying hypothetically that we have the capability of 100%, but the rate of expansion is faster than, so it's all even if we go, we'll always move. It's always going to move further.
Yeah, but that's if you're basing on the creation of existence based on the Big Bang Theory. And I kind of have an issue with the Big Bang Theory because
Hmm.
that's where the expansion happens from the initial explosion of the Big Bang that creates the expansion of all matter from its center, right?
Okay.
So if you buy that theory of expansion based on the Big Bang Theory, okay. But if you don't believe in the Big Bang Theory, I feel that there wasn't just one Big Bang. I think there was a multitude. I think there were several because why would it just be one for starter? Why would it just be a single event that started everything?
Hmm. Well, I mean, we have parameters onto what the observable universe is to us, but we don't know what's beyond that.
That's right. So we're basing it on an assumption that it came from one single source.
Because we derive that from the law of motion of everything and how light, interacts when we receive light and when light fades out. And that tells us the distance between things, just,
Mhm.
on the, red shift for like further, blue shift closer, or I don't know, I think either or, something like that. But the color of the light that we receive determines the distance and how it's what the motion is.
Yeah.
And so
The
we're
thing
basing
is,
it off on what we just see, but we don't
right,
know.
we're basing it off of our visible view of our own galaxy that we live in. And we all know our galaxy is just one grain of sand in the entire whole thing. So for us to really believe that it was one single event that started everything, I I I, I don't agree with the single Big Bang theory. I think there was a multitude of many Big Bangs that happened way past our capabilities of visual observation. So, um, yeah, that's where I kind
We're a little bit more advanced than that. Not just our
well,
galaxy. We're able to, see much further than that, honestly. Like
yeah,
we have like the clusters, the galaxy clusters, and we're able to see that from our little grain. That one grain, we could see the clusters. So, but we're talking about how the overall motion of all the clusters that are visible to us. Remember,
yeah,
there's
but the
things
question is, how many of them exist?
we don't know.
Hundreds of trillions,
Infinite.
you know,
It's infinite.
like infinite.
Yeah.
So for us to actually make a prediction on that is pretty damn hard,
Yeah.
considering the scale we are dealing with.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, we could be just a ripple, like just a ripple of motion
oh,
in
we're one grain of
something
sand.
just like like you can't comprehend it on how big it is.
Yeah,
And that
it
could be
is
our
so
view, and
vast.
that's it. Yeah.
It's so vast. It's so far away from us. And even at the speed of light to actually make an observation, you're looking at a galaxy that existed. It could be 100 billion years in the past,
Yeah.
you know? Then there's the other theory where Eric Dollard made one comment. I never forget it. He's talking about the speed of light is an arbitrary constant. It fluctuates. It's not a constant speed. He says the light that we observe from, say, a distant galaxy, instead of observing it what we would think would be several millions of years in the past,
Mm-hmm.
actually could be only several minutes old.
Wow. Why?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is coming from Eric Dollard, and when I
okay,
heard
okay.
this,
So
I'm like,
so what
whoa,
we measure in like as light supposedly that many light years away,
in the
you know, it
past.
in the
Right.
past could be just like seven, you said in the minutes?
Yeah, because a photon doesn't travel. It's instantaneous. It's a photon when it gets emitted. They say, oh, it travels 186,972 miles per second, right? That's the speed of light,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly. But he's saying that light doesn't travel, it's a vibration that happens like a longitudinal wave. So, say, here, the best way I can, an example. Let me take off my background here and I'll give you a little demo here. Um, okay. So, we have this wire, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're showing a longitudinal, or sorry, a regular wave of energy like a photon, okay, what everybody thinks is a photon, it's it's like a wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's propagating like a wave. But what he's saying is it's an instantaneous propagation. It's like a tug of war. It's instant. So the second you pull on one end, the other end already responds. So he's saying that the visual light that's coming from a distant galaxy, instead of being, 100, got emitted 100 million years ago, depending on how far it is, based on what we think is photon in waves, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying it could only be maybe several minutes old. And when I heard that, I'm like, holy cow, that just goes way out of what everybody would think.
That rewrites everything. It means
It does rewrite everything.
like
Yes, it does.
everything.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like every if we can communicate with other with light and it only how does that work? Okay. All right. Wow.
So, yeah, that totally.
It's it's
Whoa.
making my mind like
Yeah.
go.
Real. Yeah. I understand, because that's exactly how I felt after I heard that. Only several minutes compared to like hundreds of millions of years for that light to get to us. That just kind of changes everything that we thought we knew about a photon or supposed photon. A photon, even when we had Dr. Yu on, he was saying, no, it's an electromagnetic disturbance that happens.
Yeah.
So the photon, it really isn't a photon. It's an electromagnetic disturbance vibration that creates the light. It's not actually, it's not a particle.
You said it has a pole, like poles.
Yeah,
positive and negative. Yeah.
It's got a magnetic nature to it, and it vibrates. And when it vibrates at a certain frequency, that's when you see the light. So, kind of what Dr. Yu was telling us about there a couple months ago when he was on.
Yeah.
Kind of made sense. So, if Dr. Yu's right, that statement that Eric Dollard made
is right.
It's actually correct. So that light that we thought could be 100 million years that it was emitted might not only be several minutes old. So
I love that. I love the idea.
The whole relativity just gets friggin' blown right out of the water. And even Eric Dollard is not a fan of the general relativity at all. It's very flawed. And it's only one spectrum. It's only on the 2D plane. Like even the E equals MC squared, okay? he forgot about the other dimensions. They're only talking about a two-dimensional reality. What about the other two? Because you got positive, all right, and then you got negative. Well, how about the negative negative and the negative positive? You're missing a whole spectrum of the whole equation. It's only based on a two-dimensional.
Like the 4 quadrants.
Right, exactly. So there goes your friggin' theory of relativity right there. Because, in like E equals mc squared, it's in the positive. So that means you got heat. And that's why you have the nuclear bomb, because it's based on that mathematical science. Well, what happens when you take that E equals mc squared to the minus? You're going below the line. You're going below. And that's where the vacuum energy is. That's where the free energy
like,
is.
do you know you start to mess around with like parallel universes, what we think is a parallel universe, because you've got now like a mirror image of it, of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
My
So
dog has decided to sing. So in the middle of the show.
it's in the singing mode. It's Friday. It's a happy day.
22 p.m.
I'm just
People
reading
having
some of the chats here. Yeah, we got Elijah in the chat here. Just been adding some good stuff here. Yeah, so what else I got here? Yeah, just basically I've just been going gung-ho on my battery stuff, and that's what I've been really, really focused on. We're doing some more stuff this week, and I'm going to make some new electrolytes. So I bought some material, and I'm going to get a couple other things for my solid state electrolyte. So I think I got a winner as far as the solid state. It's not killing my sacrificial cathode. My magnesium's not dying. It will last years. Years and years.
How far do you need to be away with your Geiger counter before it stops clicking?
It's a small emission, Lulu. It has to be like right beside it to really pick it up. I've had a reaction go off, and it was maybe about 12 inches away, and it was still picking it up. So I don't know what the heck was going on inside my cell, but it triggered it. At first I thought it was like we were having maybe a solar flare that was, throwing something at the planet. My Geiger counter was picking it off, but yeah, tribal electrics. Yeah, it seems like something's going on in there that I've never really observed before with any other type of battery I've built. It's the second I start playing with the solid state, like with the regular, say, liquid electrolytes, you wouldn't get that effect. It's the second I start playing with the solid state stuff. So obviously something at the atomic level I'm disturbing. I don't know if it's beta or gamma or whatever. I got pictures on my YouTube channel, a couple of shorts there. It'll show the spikes on my Geiger counter.
Can you measure other already manufactured batteries to see if it gives off anything like
Nothing.
That's
Nothing of the sort. No, if it's liquid electrolyte, you get nothing. It's the second you start playing with the solid state, because I'm using atomic materials in a way that when the charge is going through that medium or the matrix I've created, it's doing something to the atomic structure at the atomic level, because then my
it's either
Geiger,
like losing a pro, like some
it's
on the
pushing,
proton.
it's creating something, and it's actually disturbing the atomic structure. And like you're saying, it could be a proton that's getting ejected out of some kind. That'd be the only way that it would disturb, the atomic structure. Because I tried other batteries, I don't get that effect. The second I start back with the solid state battery, yeah, now I'm getting effects. And more, like It's not like
Could it be just electron exchange?
it could be magnetic field. It could be a pulse. Um, it could be just a transient particle. Could it be reacting to maybe a neutrino coming through? Who knows? It could be affected by the sunlight, or I don't. There
Because
is no.
a pulse between the material, if there's an electron jumping from, let's say, one to one,
Well,
and then
there is.
and then
No,
it
there is.
pulses. Yeah, I mean, yes, but when
It's
it
tunneling.
pulses, then you have an ejection of energy, and that could be what you're reading.
Yeah, I've thought about this
Maybe.
guy saying about electrons. Yeah, but it doesn't have. I don't actually see any kind of electrostatic charge coming off it. I, I I'm not saying that it's not happening, but I haven't observed it yet. So it's really weird. It's really got me puzzled. Um, the thing is, I don't know if it's an alpha wave. I don't know if it's beta wave. I don't know if it's a proton disturbance inside the structure itself. It could be 100 different things. Like me and Elijah we're on the phone for like God knows how long, trying to figure this out. What is he saying? Bond angles can vary greatly. NMR, using NMR, whatever that is. Sorry. Um, I want to discuss the material science of the dielectric, but
I think nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR.
yeah, could be, yeah. Dielectric, yeah. I could be doing something with the dielectric energy that's going through, because these batteries seem to exhibit like a tunneling effect. It's tunneling the electrons coming through. So I've created, with the solid state electrolyte, I've created the condition that it needs to travel. I've created that median to go through the electrolyte, their solid state. So I've created the pathway for it. I've created the ionic pathway that the charged electrons can move effectively through the matrix that I've created without resistance, to the point where it's actually not drawing it in, but actually pulling it through. It's like grabbing it and pulling it through. And that's what might be going on. I don't know if I'm totally off my rocker on that. See what he's saying here. Appears to tunnel via superposition of frequency through the lattice. I doubt that actual tunnel. So, okay. So it could be a frequency too. Maybe that's the reason why I'm picking it up on the Geiger counter. What else we got? Emery metal magnets, advanced dipole effects. Well, I think I've actually created a dipole in this. So, because technically I don't need to put power into, I can charge these if I wish, but they don't need it. What's interesting is if they're sitting and they're doing nothing, they go to sleep. But the second I start trying to pull a load off it, it comes back alive. It starts to wake up, if that makes any sense. And that was the same thing that Michael Kantz was working on. And I found out, I don't know if I've told you, Michael Kantz used to work at Bell Laboratories. So when actually, they found me, his old next door neighbor that used to live right beside Michael Kantz in Florida. His next door neighbor called me on the phone and said, I understand you're working with Michael Kansas power cell technology. He goes, my name's so and so. I was his next door neighbor. I'm like, what?
Hmm.
You're kidding me, right? He goes, no, I was his next door neighbor. We grew up together. I'm like, holy crap.
I found the treasure chest.
I'm like, the golden goose just laid an egg right on my doorstep. I'm like, dude, you got to talk to me. Tell me what you know. And he goes, well, he worked for Bell Laboratories. I'm going, of course. Like, like he's coming up with, like, this guy knew stuff. And he goes, Mike, I really honestly believe that they took him out because the circumstances on his death in 2021, even his own wife wasn't given the full report of his coronary report. They won't give it to her.
Was there a body?
Yeah, when you die, the coroner does a report on your death, your cause of death. They refuse to give the coroner's report to the wife.
That's bizarre.
Okay, something's fishy there. And he goes, why would they do that unless they're trying to hide something?
Hmm. And
So
how was he supposed? How did he supposedly pass away?
he supposedly passed away due to the effects of COVID,
COVID. Okay.
right?
Okay.
And the crazy part is they denied the coroner's report to the wife. So the first thing the wife is going, well, this is standard procedure. You lose a loved one, they do an autopsy, find out the cause of death, they give you a report, and then you go on with your life. Well, they didn't do that with this poor lady. So he goes, the guy who called me, I'm not going to say his name, I'll just protect his identity. He says, Mike, I honestly believe he was taken out for a reason. And I said, well, yeah, he's putting out this technology, and the guy worked for Bell Laboratories. You know how many science and engineers have been murdered? You know, like, I hate to get conspiratorial, but obviously, like, Michael Kantz was only like 67, 68 years old. He wasn't that old.
Yeah, a good 20 years in him.
Probably, for sure, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, the whole thing about his death was stinky. Stinky poo poo. It didn't make sense.
Aren't there laws that prohibit, like, they have to, like,
They have to, yes.
yeah, like, they
But
have to.
she was refused her
Like when they do the death certificate, they have to state the cause of death.
cause of death. They wouldn't do
They
it.
have to, like, the death certificate cannot be produced if there's no, like, they have to put a cause of death.
Well, they would do the cause of death, but they wouldn't issue that note to the next of kin. She never received the coroner's report.
Mm.
So, you could go conspiratorial on this one, but he goes, Mike, it doesn't make sense. They should have gave her a report how he died, yada yada. This is how he died, da 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 da. And then you go on with your life. They never did that to her. They left her hanging. And even she says something is not right here. They're hiding something. So I don't know. You could call me crazy.
No, I mean, when there's a process, A, B, C, D, A through Z. If there's a part missing, there's, it's a question mark, and a coroner's report is, one of those things. If it's missing, it puts people into asking questions.
Yeah, if anybody's listening, they don't know who I'm talking about. The YouTube channel's still up. It's called Quantum Magnetics. And the guy who ran that channel is Michael Allen Kantz. He's from Florida. And he worked for Bell Laboratories. and he was making the silicon carbide graphite power cell technology. And that's where I came in and started working on something similar. So this is the guy we're talking about. His YouTube channel still exists. It's out there. He's obviously not around anymore. Um, the next door neighbor that grew up with him, I'm still in contact with. He knows some people that have some of his materials and stuff. I'm probably going to try to give him a call in the near future. Again, I have some other questions to ask him, but yeah, we were on the phone for a good hour, and I was just like, "Holy man, are you kidding me?" Because if he worked for Bell Laboratories, he had access to some of the best technology there, like
Well, you should
materials.
ask his neighbor if he had left anything. No
Well, this is
books.
it. A lot of his stuff was confiscated.
On top
Apparently,
of
his
no
stuff.
coroner's report, stuff
Yeah,
confiscated.
yeah,
I mean, it's not a conspiracy anymore. That it's like this is facts. How
yeah.
factual data. Like no coroner's report, supplies were confiscated. What else? There has to be like a third one that like it doesn't become a conspiracy anymore. They're just pure facts.
Yeah,
And they're not
yeah,
coincidences. They're not like like oops or it's factual missing data.
yeah. Well, I think what it was is he was working on stuff back in the early 2000s to mid 2010, and some of that technology that he learned at Bell Laboratories, he was making it at home. And I think Bell Labs finally caught on to what he was up to, and they weren't too happy with that. It's like he was kind of handing out some almost, well, he never told what was in the cells, but he gave enough clues of what was happening in the cells. So if you back engineer what he was working on, you could pretty much figure out what he was actually doing. In some of his old experiments, he was showing some little cells he was making. They were just size of like quarters, right?
Mm.
And he was using magnesium in quite a few of those designs. And they were solid state, they're rock hard. There was no physical liquid electrolyte. And he was showing if you get the right combination of metals and materials, you're going to get voltage potential. So, yeah, I think that's where the real materials, he was really into the material sciences. And I think he knew a lot of stuff that a lot of people haven't really touched on. I think that's going to be the focus of a lot of technology in the next quite a few years to come is material science. As soon as we understand material science to a T, all this anti-gravity, free energy, time travel, you know making spaceships, making the replicator, all this stuff is going to become reality. It's all based on material science. Understanding is what's happening at the atomic structure, right? So, if that makes any sense, that's what I feel, anyways. That's where it's at. Material
Yeah,
science.
I agree. I agree. Material science is one of the most important things
It's
to know.
everything.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really, honestly, is everything. You know, if you're trying to get energy you know, from a stone or blood from a stone, well, you got to know that material you're dealing with, what its capabilities are. When you put one material with another material, what reaction do you get? Do you get a side reaction? Um, do you get heat? Do you get cold? Do you get a gas emission? All this stuff. Like I've worked with so many different materials, like high grade materials. Like I've made cells where I get such I wouldn't say a violent reaction, but where I'm getting gases like say like a hydroxide, and that that can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. The second I smelt it, I knew that I had to be very careful what I was doing because it wasn't a explosive gas, but it's not really good for the body. You know,
Toxic.
yeah, it's a little bit toxic, so you have to know what you're dealing with. Side reactions, um, putting one material with another material where you would get an effect in one way that you want to get, but it affects that material in a negative way. So it was a constant, okay, this material and this material, how do they react together? Is it getting what I want out of it, or is there a side reaction that's actually destroying itself? And
or
that's
or is that affecting a third component too?
sure,
You know?
exactly.
Like,
So methodically for the last 2.5 years, that's what's been going into this. Because now the big problem is the magnesium getting destroyed, oxidizing and completely destroying itself. Dendrites everywhere, all that stuff. This cell, well, I got nothing. Nothing's happening to it.
so this cell produces 2.5 volts, right?
Yeah, here, let me
Or watts. Or
2.5 volts. Let me just test it. It's been sitting for a little while. Might be a little tired. 2.16 volts. Okay. So for the average magnesium air battery that everybody makes, the ones wrapping around the graphite and graphite rod with a paper towel, what Steph's laser saber was doing, he was getting 1.7 volts. My cell, 2.16 volts. And he was using a redox reaction with an electric, a wet, it was a wet battery, basically. So it runs like a traditional wet battery, right? A redox reaction. Mine is 100% solid. There is no water whatsoever. Water in a magnesium power cell is a certain death. It destroys the battery. There's no water in this. And I'm getting 2.16 volts, where the average person could only get 1.7.
so you're way above the
Way above that threshold for a single cell, right? A single plate of graphite and a single plate of magnesium.
So how do we transition from the volts to watts?
Well, it's current. So volts
Current.
times amps creates
Okay.
watts, right?
Okay.
So, say for an example, here, let me get my calculator out, just give you an example of the math. So, wrong button. Ha. All right. So, say, okay, I got 2.16 volts, and say I'm making 500 milliamps times that point 0.5. That's 1.08 watts.
1.08 watts.
Watts. So volts times amps is watts.
All right. Well,
Right?
I'm thinking
So-
like how many do I need to like charge my cell phone or my laptop, because I
Right.
know in watts,
Right. So like your average cell phone, I believe it's 3 or 4 watts of power.
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
So I would need, in theory, 2, 4, probably 6 cells. You get about 4 watts. 6 to 8 cells, you get 4 watts.
And can we see how like the thickness of the ones that you have, just so we get like how
These
many do you
ones
have of
here,
these?
I've got 6 of them right now.
Okay, so perfect. Let's talk about like if you put these, we stick
So
them
I
all
got 6
together.
So I'm looking at about an inch thick.
See, that's not bad. This is perfect. Like, pack them up in 6s and you have an infinite cell phone charger.
Yeah. So with these 6, I can get 12 volts out of these 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if each cell is averaging, say, 2 volts, well, if you got 6 times 2, that's 12 volts.
12 volts. Yeah.
Right? So depending on how you hook them up, you either do them in series parallel or you do them all in series, which just multiplies. So the way I would build my cells, two of these guys would make one cell. So I would hook these guys up in parallel, which would be like this, or in series, and then make the case for it. And this would be your negative, this would be your positive, and these two together, I'll just do a reading here. Just see how much I'm getting out of the two cells. Okay. 3.59 volts.
Okay. But didn't that drop from them when they're individually?
Well, that's just the single one. These
Single
are
one. Okay.
together. So there are two of them hooked up in series. So that multiplies.
5.
So,
okay. All right.
So 3.56.
About 7, right?
Okay, so 3.56 divided by 2. So between the two of them, they're averaging about 7.8 volts. 1.78 volts each, right? Now, you get a whole whack of these, maybe 5 or 10 of them, and then you hook those guys up in parallel. So when you hook them up in parallel, you're now increasing your amperage, not your voltage. Your voltage will stay the same, but your current goes up, right? So
you have to do them
like I can charge this little cap bank with the light on it. I could charge it up within a couple of minutes. It's charged. So, and that's 100 farad. So, what is it? I have the small ones. They were 1 farad is 4.5 joules of energy. So, if I got 100 farad, so 100 times that by 4.5 joules, that's 450 joules of energy. That's quite a bit of power. That if you take those capacitors and you got 450 joules in it and you short it out, you could weld with it. It will go red hot.
Wow, that's quite a
Yeah. So you got some power there behind it. So 100 is 450 joules of energy. So it's just a matter of getting this design down good, engineering the actual packaging itself so it's completely sealed.
Somebody was saying like the size of the cell matters. Yeah, but think of it like this.
Area. The surface area.
Yeah, but you're having infinite energy that you're not having to put batteries, plug, replace, expose to the sun. Just it sits and it charges it on its own. So who cares how big it is?
Exactly.
You
get 1,000 small ones, you get a lot of power than making one giant battery, and it's costs too much to manufacture. But yes, surface area does matter. I could go a 12-inch plate, but I want a quick response. So like these cells are 4-inch by 4-inch. That's the size I'm playing with right now, 4x4. And I'm getting pretty good results with it. I might upgrade it to 6x6. I might actually go to a thicker graphite, which might actually compromise my amperage a little bit. Might be a little bit too much resistance, but I'm also working on a new cathode material, which will increase surface area by, I think, 10 times. So I know Laser Saber did a pretty good version. You have to use activated carbon graphite and create this basically almost like the best way I could describe it. You know how you get sandpaper? It's really rough. Well, that roughness is actually surface area. So if you create a cathode material that almost has that rocky, grainy feel to it.
Mm.
It has a way larger footprint
Surfer, I
than a
got you.
completely flat plate. So you're almost creating a 3D structure on top of the graphite. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
kind of
so
weird.
it's more surface area. Yeah, I agree.
The surface increases by 10 times when you do that. So it might actually not make it that much thicker, but your actual surface area increases by tenfold because of that structure you've created on top. It's the texture, right? So that's what I'm kind of working on now. Now I'm very happy with the solid state electrolyte I've designed. I like it. It works well. It's not killing the magnesium, so this magnesium lasts forever, pretty much. I don't see any degrading. And now the fact that I've sealed it shut in a sealed bag, even better, you know. So yeah, baby steps. 2.5 years of starting with a graphite rod and wrapping some magnesium strip around it, and I think I've come quite a bit further than that with this stuff, and it's super light too. So like a regular car battery now, like running electric cars, it's like, oh, I'm pushing over a ton of battery, right? This thing reduces the weight by 80% because
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Yeah, like
there's no liquid electrolyte, so all the weight has been taken away from the battery. This thing is featherweight, probably weighs this here, maybe 100 grams.
and we talked also about the safety feature of like it won't like catch on fire.
Magnesium.
Yeah,
You would have to put you would have to put a 900-degree blowtorch on it.
yeah.
I could take this right now and I could drive a friggin' nail through it. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. Compared like to yeah.
Oh, if I did that with lithium, oh yeah, I would set the whole friggin' building on fire.
Mm-hmm.
This, no, I could drive yeah, I could put a spike right through this thing and won't do anything. So, unless you got a blowtorch, you're going to hold on to it for 5 minutes to make it blow up. Well, maybe something might actually happen, but.
And we said that it works better when the outside is hot because it absorbs that.
Endothermic, it has some endothermic properties, yeah. So when you start pulling a load, instead of batteries where they heat up, this thing tends to cool down a bit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Lulu, I think we'll square it up. We've done a good 2-hour run tonight. Everybody,
Yes.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
I think, next week is Good Friday. I think we'll do a show, unless something happens and I can't do a show. I'll make a posting, but yeah, definitely do a show next on Good Friday next week, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. Don't forget to check out your Faraday Research YouTube channel, become a member, get access to over 1,000 videos and hundreds of shows with thousands of hours of listening to awesome shows with Lulu and myself. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And if next weekend we don't see each other, everybody have a great Easter weekend.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Who's,
and happy birthday again.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
My birthday just passed. Yeah. So, yeah, everybody have a great night. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Thanks, Lulu. Thanks, Lulu.
Thank you, Mike. Good night.